Okay, so today we're going to just kind of create a fall composition. I'm going to call it that. And we're going to do it out of oil pastels. And I want you to first get a large piece of brown paper. This is 12 by 18 construction. Um, and then your pencil and eraser. And I'm going to draw with a white oil pastel just so you can see it. But obviously, you're going to draw with pencil. And what you want to do is in your head before you start, think of some different things that kind of represent fall. So I'm thinking of things like gourds and pumpkins and different sizes of leaves and acorns. These are outdoor type things, maybe Indian corn and straw bales, things like that. Okay, mums. All right. So I want you to think of some of the bigger things first. Okay. So and I want things to go off the paper and I want to make a composition that is balanced. So I think this will look right side up if I do this for you. So this is one of those kind of gourds. It's like those ones they make the big um, birdhouses out of. Okay. Okay. And then for weight, I need something here. And these do not have to all be facing the same way. So I'm going to draw a pumpkin. And remember how we kind of learned how to draw a pumpkin when you were younger for one of those projects. So there's a pumpkin there. Okay, and it's upside down. All right, and then I think I'll do, I need something else big. So probably all I can think of is just another pumpkin. So that's fine. Over here to balance it out in this corner. Okay, so we're talking about the art principle of balance, or some people call it weight. And it's the idea if there's something big here, there needs to be something big here to weight it down. There's something here, there needs to be something there. So something needs to come off this side over here. So something kind of that will go. So the only thing I can kind of think of is like a piece of Indian corn here. And I will add the pieces in later, but I'm going to just put that across like that for now. Okay, and then I need to fill my spaces, and some things overlap, some things not. So I'm going to come in like and make one of these leaves that looks like that. Okay, there's one that lays like that, and then I'm going to lay one in here that's more like this kind. And I don't know what these are called. I just know that there are different leaves that look like this. Okay, one like that, and then I'll do more like your typical maple here, and I'm going to let this one kind of go underneath. Okay, and then you could also do an apple, so I think I'll put just a little apple there, kind of a fall colored apple, and then maybe a couple little acorn looking things here, and maybe another one here. Okay, and then just to kind of fill in my blank spaces, I'll put some vines, but I don't want to do that yet because I'll just do that at the end. Okay, so then we're going to talk about coloring. So I want my gourd to be kind of that yellow gourd color. So I pull a few shades like this. So something like that, some yellow browns and some a really soft yellow and then a brown. Okay, and just like we've worked on shading and stuff before, your outside edges, move this so I don't. And remember, as you're coloring to the edge, always try to have a piece of scratch paper and dry. Your outside edges will be darker. Okay. And then like with things like fruit and stuff that the skin is kind of thicker on, usually there's just little bits of, kind of some stripes of color in, so of darker colors, and maybe almost like some flecks. So I'm going to put those in as well, just with my dark. And then when I blend them in, they'll look really nice and smooth. And when I make the outside edge of this dark, I don't want to color where the leaves are going to be. So see how I'm going around that. Okay, thinner here at the top. Probably a little more here like this. And then there's a little bit of shadow in here because this part comes out. Does that make sense? This part rounds out towards us. So that's the shadow there. So this is kind of your initial blending shading color. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with just a little bit of my darker yellow color. And notice I'm not worrying about getting it perfectly smooth yet. I just want to get a lot of color in there. Okay, and I'm putting it right over my other brown and then extending it out further. Same way when we did those tube things, or if you've already done your contour hand. If you haven't, you're going to do that later. But that same concept. Okay, extend that color out. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little white, and the places that should be the lightest should be like right in here and right kind of down the middle. I'm going to put some white in there. And then the rest of it, I'm going to shade with the yellow. So I'm just going to go right over this outside edge. And now everything, I'm going to use my yellow over it. And so this is my blending color. And notice I don't go willy-nilly with which direction I'm going to color. I follow the curve of what, if I was holding this, I know that this curve of this gourd goes around like that. Okay? And I just color over everything. And it makes those dark places I put in there blend in. Right over the white, and I may have to put the white back on top a little bit. I may actually use the white at the end to blend this even a little more because it blends a little bit harder on construction paper than it would on normal paper. I'm going to peel back a little bit of my paper. You never want to take an oil pastel down where the paper, so close to the paper that the paper will scratch off the oil pastel you're putting on. So you need to keep that wrapper away from the part that you're actually coloring with. And see how I go over the outside edge as well, because that keeps that looking from the, like I outlined it, which I did, but I don't want it to look that way because then it looks like a cartoon. It doesn't look realistic. And we're going for realism. Just right over the... Okay, and then I just need to blend that in a little more. And the best blending color when you're using lights is white. So I'm just going to use my white to go over this a little bit. Okay, so there is my first gourd, and it definitely needs a stem. So I'm going to do the end of it with that brown, and then I'm going to kind of come in here and put some lines, and then I'm going to go over it with a different shade of brown. So I get kind of that streaky look in there. Then I may go over it with a little bit of a creamy color. Okay, there's that one. All right, and then I'm going to go with the good old orange pumpkin here. So since I'm definitely going to need a darker color for this, I'm just going to go through and go ahead and do this, each little segment like that. And so you don't have to draw the exact same things, but I do want you to think about balance. So get your stuff balanced on the page, and then take these same principles I'm showing you coloring and apply them to the way you're doing yours. So let's say you want to do a darker yellow pumpkin or a darker orange pumpkin. Just start with a darker shade, but just remember that the darkest shade always goes on the outside edge of each segment. So this is my medium shade I'm putting in now. So I can kind of just color the whole segment that, but notice how I color it one segment at a time so that my stroke direction matches those segments. If I color it across the whole thing, it won't work. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my darker reddish orange and do the outside edges of those. And this is the same way I did the squash or the gourd, only I'm doing it in reversed order. I started with the darks on that one. This one I started with my mediums. And then what do you think I should use for my lights in the middle of each section? You could say white, but what's going to happen is it'll look like a pastel orange. So I would actually recommend a yellow in the middle of that. Okay. And so now it just kind of needs to smooth that a little bit more. So I'm just going to go back in with the same color I started out with. Maybe go a little bit the opposite direction here. Okay. Okay, so there's my stem. I'm just going to come in with a little, I don't want any of my stems to look the same, so come in with a little different color on the top. So yellow looks good on that. Okay, so I think you've got the idea. You should be able to do the other pumpkin. Should be able to do your gourds. The leaves are just whatever color you want to do. So I think up here I'll choose the red. And you just kind of want to work some different colors into them so they look right. So can't see my line. Oh, that's because it's underneath there. Okay. So I'm just going to put some red in there. Okay, and then maybe some brown. Just never too much. I mean, basically, whatever your main color is going to be, which is red, you want to hit it the most. And then I'm going to put some orange in there to kind of blend it and really put that over all the colors. Okay, but let's say you wanted a yellow leaf. Put the yellow in first, put in maybe a green or a brown, and then come in with like a mustard colored yellow and color over the top of that. If you want it to look like a muted green, find a light shade of green, put some brown on it, and then color over that with a yellow, and that'll give it that fally green color. And kind of come in and put your lines in last. Okay, so just get to coloring on that. I'll try to color some more of mine. I'll show you when I'm done. Take your time, do a good job, really blend your colors well. I mean, there shouldn't